HAX Show, episode 7. I'm joined today by Emily Durgin. Emily just moved out to Boulder, and Rachel, our producer, is really excited about this one because they both went to UConn. She even brought a UConn hat up here. So, Emily, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm going to give a little bit just of a background of Emily. She grew up in Maine, and she fell in love with the sport from a 1,500-meter race at her local summer track program. She has now established herself as one of the top road racers in the U.S. She's won a national title, and she's had multiple top 10 finishes at the Olympic trials. Emily, you just moved out to Boulder. How's that been going?
I did. Well, I did a trial period in July. So I came out in July, drove out, me and my dog, and we rented a little Airbnb out in Longmont. And tested it out, and then officially moved September. So all settled in.
Nice.
Yeah.
And can you take us back to that time period and sort of what that decision looked like? You were, training in Flagstaff. Why were you like, I might need to mix things up and try something new?
Yeah, so honestly, the conversation of changing something up came about a while ago. So after the Olympic trials in 2024, I was thinking, all right, I think I'm going to need a change. I don't know what that's going to look like. Does that mean I spend a little more time back east? Do we try out a different altitude spot location? So this conversation had been in the back of my mind for over a year at this point. And then fortunately, an injury that I got about close to a year ago now, it kind of helped me solidify that I needed to make a change. And that's kind of what gave me the opportunity to come test out Boulder in July, was when I decided, okay, we're not going to be running a spring marathon. Let's go test out a new location. And that's what ultimately brought me to Boulder.
What can you talk a little bit about that injury? What, where you're at now with it, but also what was the diagnosis and how have you sort of just been navigating that?
Sure. Honestly, so it's basically the main source was my proximal high hamstring, kind of where that tendon attaches to the sit bone. You've been seeing it all over Instagram now. Lots of distance runners are posting about it. It's kind of a real pain in the butt, right? So I've just kind of been dealing with it since probably December of last year is when it really started to bother my running, and pushed through it for a while to the point that it got so bad that I couldn't run fast. And then kind of on and off all spring, I did like a PRP injection, some rehab, just kind of messed around with a bunch of different things, would get to probably 70% healthy, try to work out, and it would go backwards. So I was kind of almost at like a standstill with it. And that's what led me out here. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And where are you at now with it? Are you like, I'm in the clear? Mm-hmm. Are you like still doing rehab stuff? Mm-hmm. Like what does day-to-day sort of, just dealing with that injury look like?
Yeah, so I'd say like this is the most pain-free. I've been running easy, which is awesome. Since July, I came out here and I've been working with Lawrence, who was recommended to me by Drew and Joan. And he has really just like worked with my movement, right? Like when I first saw him, I was just like not moving well at all, like everything. So really the past 3 months have just worked on moving right. And obviously we had to get that tendon stronger and to heal at the same time, right? Because I did have a tear in it, and so a mix of that, and now pain-free running for a few months, and we're gonna add in some workouts, and it's gonna be probably a little bit of up and down, but I'd say that right now I feel more in the clear than I have for a long time.
When you said like I couldn't run fast on it, can you give like listeners context? Like was that like strides? Was that like even just like marathon pace? Like what was your speed limit?
Yeah, probably like marathon pace. So I even came out here to try to run Boulder this year, which was just probably a bad mistake. But us athletes, it's in our contract. We're supposed to race. It's in our blood. We love to race. So I wanted to race, and I put a whole summer together, and I was doing workouts and they were going okay. But then I got in the race and it was like anything faster than like 5:40 pace, right? I could feel it. Just under that marathon threshold, I couldn't do pain-free.
I remember when I had in 2019 like really bad plantar issues. I felt like I became almost an expert on how to heal plantar issues, and I had so many people reach out. Do you feel like you're now like, I know so much about this injury, this hamstring, like, and there's like a lot of people out there that have been like, hey, like what are you doing for this?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy. I feel like every day I go on Instagram and I'm seeing another person post about, oh, high hamstring. I'm like, oh gosh. And my advice is don't run through it. Please don't run through it. Cause I was just, I ran through it for so long. And just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Cause I just wasn't moving right. And that was one of the biggest things. Like I could run, but like I just wasn't going to gain any fitness because of how poorly my body was moving. Yeah, so I think I'm an expert, but at the same time, I don't think I have all the answers. But I can totally let you know that like, if you feel like you're not moving right, you probably aren't moving right. Yeah. And I knew for a long time that I wasn't moving right.
How do you work with coaches, PTs, physios, and sort of like, you know, work together and create a plan so that, you know, a run coach can give you the best training possible without injuring you again or having you, you know, come back from that. But a PT can also, you know, have some sort of plan for you. How do you work all together with your team?
Yeah, that's a great question. Something I'm trying to navigate. This is probably like the longest chronic type injury that I've had in my career. I've had little stress fractures that, you know, I take a few weeks off and I come back and I'm somebody that gets fit super quick. So I've never really had to navigate this coming back. And I think that was a really hard thing that Terrence and I struggled with because I only knew myself as this like headstrong athlete that was 100% all the time. And he only knew me as that. So he had a hard time holding me back and I had a hard time holding back. And I think that's where we ran into a lot of issues this year. And then going back to like working with like physios and PT, well, I'm also super like headstrong. So I didn't really want to work with anyone that would tell me to slow down. Yeah, so it's definitely like a tricky balance, but that's again, one of the reasons I came out here was there was just way more resources for me. And kind of being like, all right, like I have to let go of that control. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
You have really had a pro career that's like evolved. And I think a lot of people are really interested. This is now you're on your fourth coach since you've been a pro, but you've been on 3 different teams before this.
Yep.
I really want to start back at the beginning with New Balance Boston and Coach Mark Coogan. You graduated UConn. What did things look like then? Because it's probably very different than now. Like what drew you to New Balance Boston for your first pro contract?
Oh, yeah, those are some great memories. I like reflecting on these a lot. But so, yeah, I went to UConn, and crazy enough, at UConn, I also had like 3 different coaches over the 5 years I was there. So, yeah, I came in under this woman named Andrea Grove McDonough, who was wonderful. And then she ended up leaving. And then the Begleys came in, Amy Begley, who's now big with USATF, also wonderful. She left. And then the last coach, JJ Clark, who's now at Stanford. So that's who I ended with. So 3 like completely different style coaches, but had great relationships with all of them. So my longest coach was JJ Clark. And he was very conservative with me, but at the same time, he saw a lot of potential in me. And he was the one that encouraged me to continue running post-collegiately. And he had an athlete at the time, Liz, that trained with him at Tennessee that was training in Boston with Mark. And I was also roommates. Last name at the time was Lily D'Agostino. So Abby D'Agostino obviously was with Mark and at New Balance Boston at the time. So I had a few connections to Mark. And that's what led me, also being from Maine, so close to home. So that's what led me to essentially reach out to Mark and be like, hey, I'm this girl from New England. Like, I've been following you and your girls for the past year. Like, I would love to come train with you guys. I could find a job in Boston. And long story short, I ended up driving to his house in Newburyport with a cover letter and a resume. He still has it to this day. He still has it in his in his kitchen. And I essentially like sold myself like how I was going to help his girls like be better athletes. And it was also going to help me. And I wasn't asking for anything in return. Like I wasn't asking for like a contract or anything, just to essentially train with these women. And he's like, sure, I can ask my boss, like, let me get back to you. And then New Balance was gracious enough to be like, yeah, we'll bring her onto the team. And they gave me, you know, I got the gear, I got the coach, I got a gym membership, and I nannied in Boston to make my rent. Yeah.
I love that. That's a great story. So it was a running resume.
It was a running resume,
Okay.
a cover letter and a resume.
Okay.
No, it had nothing to do with like,
Yeah, like real work experience. Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
What was it a big change from going like college training wise to a pro system? I mean, there's some really good girls on the team. Like, was that like a
Sure.
big step up?
oh my gosh, massive. Because at UConn, I didn't really have any direct like distance partners. Like we had 800 girls, 1,500 girls, but for like 10K girls, like there wasn't that many of us. So I was doing a lot of stuff on my own, especially towards the end. To show up to practice with Abby and Katrina and Corey McGee and, you know, do K repeats with them or even a 25-minute tempo. It was nuts. Like I mean, one of Mark's workouts was like K repeats and he'd be like, yeah, just run 72s. I'd be like, I've never even broken 16 minutes in a 5K. Like it was just so like, he said it like so casually that made me believe that I could do it. So I just started essentially like hanging on to Abby, hanging on to Corey and Katrina for as long as I could in these workouts. And it was awesome. It was like, I didn't know any different.
Yeah. No, Mark's a great, he's the chillest guy. I actually went up to him one time at like the Olympic trials and I was like, Mark, I think you're the chillest coach here. And then someone was with him and they said, yeah, until like Katrina's racing. They said, they literally said that. And I was like,
then he goes into dad mode.
Exactly. Yeah. But I just thought that I feel like he's a really good first pro coach because he's just very relaxed and he has a very simple system and he's had a lot of success. When did it make sense to eventually move on from that group?
Yeah. So again, then under Mark, so he kind of worked as, I guess, like my agent. Like he got me into, I went and ran the New York 5K and I believe I finished like 5th there as this, like, no one knew who I was, but that was a big deal. Like this little fresh college girl, beating pros. And then I went on to cross country that year and I came in, I believe 5th or 6th there. And that's when people started to take notice of me. And so Mark encouraged me to sign with an agent and see if I could get a deal to be able to be like, all right, I can be more all in on this. And it was hard because, you know, I was only nannying, but I had to try to figure out how to pay for these like travels to these races and altitude camp and all that. So so he encouraged me to look for an agent and see what that would look like. So the team, we had gone out to Flagstaff for winter training camp. And then that was like the first time I was immersed with this like pro running world. Like I had never even heard of Flagstaff. Like I didn't know I had no idea. I had no idea what Flagstaff was. And then I get there and there's like Olympians and all this stuff. Like it was the most overwhelming experience. My first time down in Sedona, Arizona. It's a track that everyone works out in.
You're like, why are we driving down an hour and a half to work out on the track?
Yeah. And it was just like 50 people doing all different workouts and just like everyone's like if you were like a pro runner, you were there in January. It was nuts. And it was honestly like very overwhelming for me. Like I was definitely intimidated my first time, and then it was just like, I got to know everyone and it was really cool. But long story short, that's when I ended up signing with, Total Sports. Stephen Haas helped our team out a lot and like a lot of other runners were with him. And then that is when the year later, that would have been 2019. 2019 is when Under Armour was trying to put a group together in Flagstaff, which was really cool because that gave me an opportunity to have a pro contract. And Mark was super awesome with it. He's like, yeah, you know, this would be really cool for you to take this and do this opportunity. So yeah, it kind of came down to more just like a professional decision.
Yeah. What was it like moving and living at altitude full time for the first time? Was that like really hard?
Yeah, terrible. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was awful. Not awful, but like living at altitude is a long-term investment. And I think a lot of young athletes don't quite understand that. You can go to camps for like 3 or 4 weeks and hammer everything. And again, like how I am now, I've been this way since I was a little girl. So I just like, everything's hard. Like I like to work hard. I like to train hard. My easy runs everything's hard. And I got away with that when we did our training camps for like 21 days and I'd go and run super well. You know, like I would be running like with the guys on these easy runs. Like, who is this like 23-year-old girl? Why is she running with us? But yeah, that was just how I was. But then when I moved there, I kept doing that. And unfortunately, I ended up like getting myself in like a massive hole pretty early on. So yeah, that year I had qualified for like US championships, but then so May I did pretty well. And then I was pretty much trash come June. Yeah. So that was my first year. And then for me, so then 2020 is when COVID hit. And actually that timeline of COVID hitting where I was at in my running career actually was like super helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you were there, were you training with a group? Because you just said the group was starting. Or were you still like kind of solo-ish? Like what did that look like?
Yeah. So I was, so Rachel Schneider at the time, Rachel Smith now, she was already there and with Under Armour. But then I was like the first female that they brought in that was going to be called like Dark Sky Distance at the time. So I didn't have any direct female partners until later in the season is when like Sharon joined. And then a year later is when like Taryn came in. So when I first got there, it was just me and the guys. Like, yeah.
Yeah. The reason I asked that is like, did you have, I feel like, you know, when you were with like Mark and all those girls, like they were really track focused.
Sure.
And now you're starting to probably think about like, oh, road racing or cross country or different things. Cause I think there's a lot of different ways like people can set up their running careers. And I think sometimes like we've run track our whole lives. It's just like, I'll just do track forever. But were you starting to think like, maybe I should do a marathon? Maybe I should start like racing on the roads? Like when did you sort of start to have that shift?
Yeah, I think that was a big, even from the beginning with Mark, like I always knew that I loved cross country and I was probably going to transition into the roads. And even with him, he threw me into the road races pretty early on. And that's where I had a lot of success quickly. So then when I was under Steven, he knew, okay, the marathon's in our future. 2028 is definitely, or sorry, 2024. Wow, I'm getting ahead of myself. 2024 trials was definitely like the vision for the marathon. At that time, I was planning to stay on the track for 2020. And then we were thinking like a half marathon, like sometime in that realm. So when I joined Dark Sky, it was like, okay, let's try to build your mileage, start doing longer workouts. Cause with Mark, we hadn't done like anything over like a 25-minute tempo. It was still like just getting me used to the pro circuit. And then with Steven, he's like, let's start doing some longer tempo, some long runs. And that's what I started to work on in that like 2019 to 2020 time period.
Got it. And then when did you feel like you were ready for the next step after that?
Yeah, well, again, I've had so many ebbs and flows in the sport. It's wild to think back. That's why even like this year having a bit of like a bum year, I'm like, Emily, you've been through so much worse. So yeah, 2019, I guess I signed with Dark Sky, ran like a big PR at like Peyton Jordan, but then I burnt myself out. So took that summer off and then COVID hit. And then my first, well, I guess before COVID hit. Before COVID hit, I had my first half marathon that went terrible in Houston. It was not good. First one was not good. But I knew it was going to be there. So I actually like a week later went and ran like the Mesa half and ended up like doing really well. COVID hit, fast forward to then it was like 2021 track season, the Olympic trials. And that's when I really came into like myself. Like I think all of that work from 2019 to 2021 started to pay off. And I remember Rachel Schneider at the time. So I get the name straight.
Oh, yeah.
She told me, she's like, Emily, it takes time. Like it took me 2 years to really adjust to living full time at altitude. And it was almost like clockwork. Like exactly 2 years is when I started to like reap the benefits of living in Flagstaff. Yeah.
And I also, I had the same thing, and Boulder's even lower.
Sure.
So, but I remember like I got injured basically right when I got out here. And I was just like, I'm doing the exact same training I was doing previously, but I'm throwing in this like completely new stimulus of altitude. And I just was not ready for that.
Cooking yourself.
Yeah. That's why it's good to have people, I feel like, on the team that have like lived there for a long time to be like, just chill. Just don't do too much. So what did it look like signing with, my old company, Adidas? What did that look like?
Again, I've just had this really like unconventional, unique, like how things have played out for me. I don't know. Like,
that's why we're chatting today. We want to hear all about it.
It's really cool. I mean, God is good, right? It's like, So so I signed with Under Armour in like was building, having good success under them. Like Stephen Haas was developing me so well. And then 2020, the Olympic trials was when like the whole shoe gate happened, right?
Shoegate. That's so dramatic, but I love it.
We were soul swapping.
Yep.
We were like taking the
duct tape over the shoes.
Over the shoes, hair drying logos off shoes. Anyways,
it's the Wild West.
It was wild. So that was all happening in like leading into the Olympic trials, and basically different brands did different things. But basically, what Under Armour did said like, hey, like we're gonna let everyone be free agents. So like you can't run in a competitor's shoes. But if you decide to like, you want to leave, like we're going to let you out of your contract. No questions, like that's, but me being me, I was like, I like some of the Under Armour athletes decided like, we're going to forego our contract. We're going to run in a competitor's shoe and just like see what happens. For me, I didn't want to take that risk because I needed the financial stability and I knew I wasn't going to make a team.
Yeah.
And so I ran the Olympic trials in Under Armour shoes. I was an Under Armour athlete. I came in 9th in the 10K. It was fun. It was awesome. I had so much fun. And, at the Olympic trials, Adidas knew that the Under Armour athletes were free agents. Like again, I don't know how like open or whatever. It's great. We can talk about it.
We'll talk about everything on here.
I guess I guess brands must have known that we were free agents. I don't know how it worked. I just whatever. I got an offer from Adidas. So I switched to Adidas July of 2021.
Okay. And
then went on to run Peachtree a week later and came in second to Sarah Hall, which was like incredible.
Yeah.
And then my summer on the roads when my first year with Adidas was awesome. I just raced and built so much confidence, came in top 3 in a bunch of races. And that was my transition to Adidas.
And was Terrence coaching you or did that take a little bit? Was Steven still writing your training or what did that period look like?
So then basically once I signed with Adidas, it was kind of like, all right, now like this solidifies, like I am going to go up to the marathon, hopefully in the next like year. Like that was part of like the deal. And that is when I had known Terrence from him coming out to Flagstaff. And obviously he had coached like a bunch of other marathon runners. And that was like, I wanted to transition to like a more marathon based coach. So that happened like pretty naturally. Yeah. It was pretty easy to be like, hey, I'm going to shift gears, go to this more like marathon-y based coach. And and now that I'm with Adidas, it kind of just all made sense.
Yeah. What did like, you were saying like it made more sense like to start training like a marathoner. What was some of the big transitions in your training that like looked like, from being a track person to now I'm running? What are your workouts looking like throughout the week for marathon training versus track stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like my first with Terrence, again, it was more like longer rep stuff. So doing more of like, I guess we were doing mile repeats, but more like the 3-2-1 type workouts, like 10-mile workouts where you're like doing pace change, 2-mile repeats. Yeah. So adding in some of that longer stuff. But Terrence is like, he still keeps like intensity there. So we were still doing like high intensity. And I would still train with like, cause he had other athletes, that were more like mid distance. Okay. So we would overlap some, but yeah. And then getting the long runs up longer, was like a big thing too.
Do you feel like you had like a perfect graph of your running career of just continuing to increase mileage, or are you like, I got to 80 miles and that's the most I'm running, or what does it even look like now? Like, are you trying to run more than you've ever run, or is that something you don't even really think about?
It's something that I haven't really thought about. I think it kind of just like ebbs and flows. I'm excited for this new chapter in my life because that is, again, living at 7,000 feet and also being more of like a high intensity athlete. I wasn't really running high mileage because I physically couldn't. I would like crush a workout in the morning and I would be like so dead. I could not go for a double. So that's been something fun being out here in Boulder. We are doing more doubles and I'm really interested to see just like that time on feet, like what that's going to translate to. So it's just like different training, different styles. There's not one way to get there. So, no, it hasn't been linear at all.
And so now you've been working with Mark and Joan for a few months.
Yep.
How does their philosophy, spoiler, those are my parents. You guys all know that. It's always funny to say. What looks different about their training and compared to your 3 previous, like pro coaches?
Yeah, I feel like last week was my first week of workouts and I'm already in trouble. Like Mark on the track was like,
slow down.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm like, it's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But no, it's been awesome. So again, like I just think it's so refreshing because coming back from this like time away and injured, it's so nice to have someone that just like knows me as like just what I am right now.
Yeah.
And I think that can be super challenging for a lot of athletes that go through injury that have been kind of at the top of the sport. It's like the coach knows you as you at the top.
Yeah.
So for me to come in here and Mark and Joe know me just as like Emily, who I am now, I think it's going to be huge for these next 3 years, like huge. So the training, again, I can't really speak too much on it because we just started workouts and they're being like super conservative and just going week by week. But, I think I'm going to have to like,
You have to relearn everything. Yeah.
yeah, but I also know that Joan will give the green light. You know what I mean? It's like very much like give and take, right? It's like, like stay in the zone for these things, but I can already see there are going to be sessions like you guys have had them, like that long run where it's like, all right, now you go.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to be great for me to have that.
I've never really experienced this because like I've worked with my first pro coach, like sort of mentored my parents. And then now I work with my parents. So like, I feel like, do you have to almost have like a hard reset in your head and be like, I'm gonna try to unlearn everything I had because I don't want to bring my past self into this new training because that's maybe what got me injured in the first place. Like, I don't even know, like, cause for me, I'm like, well, I did this in the past, so let's do more of that. Or, you know, like I have my biases. Like, do you feel like you have to just like, almost be like you said, like unlearn everything and here we go? Or are you still like, no, I still want to do these certain things?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I already sent your mom my training 8 weeks before when I ran my half marathon PR. So yeah, it's hard. she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. What am I looking at here?
Yeah. So again, like it is hard. And I think like that's what's great about Joan is she is going to be like collaborative.
Yeah.
But she also like when I sent that, but she's like, all right, but we're also not going to do like 2 sessions and a long run. Like that's not what we're going to do. Like this is all good like information for me, but like we're going to change it a little bit. Right.
Yeah.
So I think like there is some value in knowing as an athlete, especially at my age, 31 and a half as of this weekend.
Happy birthday.
Happy half birthday.
Yeah.
You know like what your body responds well to, right? So like being able to give a coach that information, but also be open and willing to learn and kind of like let down that control, I think is gonna only help me be more consistent.
Got it.
Yeah,
that's good. I definitely think that is a hard thing to do because you do know like what it takes to be at the top, but it's also like, well, now if I can't do that, is there another way to, you know, like structure training? And I do think like Mark and Joan are very good at taking athletes that have had a lot of injuries and being like, we're just gonna like really, really slowly work on these things. And so I do think like I'm excited for you guys to keep working together because I do think like, yeah, that's what they're best at. They took a very broken team in 2020, like half of our roster was injured. The next year, everyone was healthy. So how are you helping build out the 10-man elite roster? So that's obviously another big change is 10-man elite is transitioning to more of a marathon focused group. Do you enjoy training alone and you're like, I just want to keep doing this? Or do you want other women around you? How does that look? What are the conversations you guys are having?
Yeah. So I have my vision for the group, especially on the women's side. And ideally, like, I'm being conservative, but for 28, the Olympic marathon trials, to have 8 of us there on the start line, men and women, whether that's 5 and 3, 5 and 5, whatever, doesn't matter what it looks like, but have this like army together to show up and just compete and have been working together for 2.5 years. And my vision is to have a few experienced marathoners like myself and Reed and Connor and hopefully one other female, but then my vision is to bring in a few younger athletes like myself in like 2021. I feel like the me's of the sport are going unnoticed and getting lost in this world. It's challenging, especially with how these NILs are going and how success at a young age is a lot more, I don't know, like praised upon now, which is great. It is really cool. And obviously that was you, right? Like you were young, upcoming, but that's not everyone. Some people, it takes, 23, 24 to really start coming into their own. And sometimes these track runners, like they might've not had a ton of success in the 5 and 10, but they could be amazing marathoners and be on that team. I mean, look at Dakota, like she's won. So yeah, like what Minnesota has done with their group, I'd love that to be kind of Tinman's vision. So yeah, obviously we'll have like 2 to 4, high quality, been in the sport for a while athletes, but then a few underdeveloped, new athletes that I can help mentor and raise up. And my goal would they'll be part of the team and then hopefully perform super well and then be rewarded with a contract and be able to continue in the sport.
Yeah, it does feel like the marathon is kind of perfect for those stories. Like I do feel like a lot of like to be an elite level track athlete now, like you just have to be an absolute weapon in college.
Sure.
And even now in high school, like you have to be, even now, like a guy in high school, like you have to be like right at 4 flat or under 4. And it's like, this is crazy. But there's so many great like long distance runners who don't maybe have that leg speed, but there is a future for them in the sport. And it is like you were saying, like there probably needs to be more like marathon development groups. And so I do think there's a really good, there's a great chance for Tim and Elite to do that because like you were saying, it's sort of like, road racing is it's an option for anyone who wants to have a great career. And I just think a lot of people are like, well, I have to run fast on the track. It's like, well, there is another route.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't try to run fast on the track. Like I think even to your experience, like having that as a compliment to your running, like, a lot of really good marathons started as good track athletes, but I do think there is a type of athlete out there that's like, I know I want to be a good marathoner. I know I can be, but what do my options look like after I graduate college? So yeah, you posted this quote after the Olympic trials, and I feel like it sums up well, sort of where you're at in your career. It says, champions keep playing until they get it right. Why is it so hard to win at the pro level?
Yeah, because everyone's really good, really, really good. And I think just like, you have to be humble. You have to not get too high, not too low. And honestly, I mean, the sport can pass you by real quick. Yeah. So like it doesn't, and again, like this might sound pretty bad, but as a little girl, my dad said to me, he said, you're only as good as your last race.
It's true. Unfortunately for us.
And he didn't mean it in a bad way, like whether it was a bad race or a good race, right? Yeah. He said, so it's just, but that's important to know. Like, I don't care what you did 5 years ago, right? Yeah. It's like what you're doing now. And and sometimes it takes a while to get it right. And and again, like, through the injuries, through bad races. And if you're somebody that's a woe's me or like why does it happen? You're not going to make it in this sport. Yeah. Like you're not.
I know. My parents are like, Drew, can you run USA Cross? It's in like 2 weeks. Yeah. And I'm like, Mom and Dad, my stock is high right now. I don't want to go up, run there, shit the bed, and then have my stock drop.
Beat by college kids.
Exactly. Like you got to keep the stock high. And my dad's like, just have fun. Like you'll do it. I'm like, no. You can't just show up and run these pro races anymore. You got to be dialed and ready to go.
Yeah.
What was it like winning your first national title, Cherry Blossom 10 miler?
Yeah, that was awesome. So I had been second and third in a lot of races in my career from like 21 to last year. But like going into that race, well, first of all, I knew I was going to win. Like, like you just like,
let's go.
Yeah. Like, and that's like, the mind is so powerful, and that's a huge like part. And I mean, again, like part of it is like what you're saying with cross country, like, when you're fit and ready.
Yeah.
And there's some times that you do kind of have to fake it and just show up if it's, it hasn't been a perfect build and you have to get through it. But when it's just like so magical and you've had this build and you're just so confident, like you show up and you're going to have a good day. Like I knew that going into this race. So it was just really, really special to know. And I also like, for me, I never take anything like for granted, right? Because winning is tough. Like, you might not, like I might never make an Olympic team. Never set another, well, I hope not, I should set PRs, but nothing is, it's not guaranteed, right? So I think celebrating those times are huge. And I was going after Kira's like woman only 10-mile record, and I missed it by just a few seconds. And that was a bummer. But at the same time, I had run so much faster than I had ever run in my life. So, being an athlete that always like wants to be better, but also enjoying those moments, I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the marathon chapter, which is sounds like your big focus the next few years.
Yeah.
You've actually run 3 marathons so far, right?
Well, I dropped out of New York.
Okay, because I put in my notes that you've run 2, but then
I've completed 2.
Okay, fair enough.
And one note, us marathon runners, I've talked to a lot of different people. We only count the ones we finish.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, so you've run 2 marathons so far.
Yes.
What have they taught you?
A lot. So New York probably taught me the most. That's the one I dropped out of. And again, that's going back to just like a lot of it was just mental. I was so mentally burnt going into that race. There was a lot of hype, a lot of pressure over my first marathon. I had run a very fast half the winter before it. And, you know, people think, oh, just because she's run fast half, she's going to be great in the marathon. That's just not the case. So yeah, I learned a respect for the distance for sure.
Yeah.
And some people pop off their first one, but I think for me, it's going to be the experience and taking more time. And yeah, and then I went on to run Toronto, which was like a beautiful race. I wish I would have like debuted at a race like that. Low key, just completing the distance. I really had no goal when I was there. I didn't have to run a marathon before the trials, but mentally going into Orlando, I wanted to be like, okay, like this is what it feels like to complete the distance. Yeah, so that was kind of the unique experience for Toronto. And then I ended up hitting the Olympic standard, which was really cool, just to be like, I have the Olympic time now going into the trials. It gave me a little bit of confidence.
Totally.
That like, okay, like I could be on this team if it was my day. And then the trials was just incredible, like such a fun race. And yeah, I mean, I thought that I had a chance at making the team.
Yeah.
And I think that the way the race was played, you saw the woman that thought they had a chance to make the team, and we were all there till 22 miles. And yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. I remember watching.
Yeah.
First off, the Olympic trials marathon is like the coolest event ever.
So
like,
fun. Yeah.
Like it is really fun to watch because it's like, it's the first time you get all the US people because, you know, they go to Chicago or New York or CIM or whatever, and they all sort of like, not dodge each other on purpose. They just do what's best for them.
Sure.
But it's the first time everyone gets together, and it's so it's just like pure competitiveness and pure just like racing.
Yeah.
There's no pacers or anything like that. So I always really look forward to watching the marathon trials because they're really fun. But yeah, were you like 20 miles? Like, I'm going to make this team. Like, I'm always just curious because like the longest race I've done is a 10 miler. Like, are you actively thinking like, okay, mile 15, I'm going to go for it now. Oh, I'm going to hold back. Like, are you having these conversations, or is it really just like it ebbs and flows every mile? You take it, you know, you're just trying to be present, and you just like, you either match the moment and go with the group, or you're like, I can't do this. Like, how are you thinking through the end of a marathon race?
Yeah, again, I'm still so new to it. But going into the trials, there was like certain players that I was going to key off of. So like Emily Sisson was somebody that I'm like, she's making this team. I knew it. And I'm like, I'm just going to do whatever Emily Sisson does.
I feel like so many people had that same exact race plan. Literally, I told everyone, I said, there will be one person I can guarantee is going to make the team, and it's going to be Emily Sisson.
Sure, especially because of like the 2020 and like this was just her comeback year. It was going to be her year. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do whatever she does. And I did. So I pretty much, like, if you watched, I was just like behind Emily the whole time. And yeah, I'm sure if you've listened to anything, she like, it took everything in her power to get through that race because she really started hurting towards the end as well. So then I think it was like mile 18 is when like the group really broke away, because that's when Fiona took off, 18 and 19. So then Fiona was gone, Emily followed her, and then there was like kind of like a bunch of us just there, like me and Sarah. And at that moment, and Betsy was still in it. And at that moment, I'm like, okay, I think I still have a chance. I still feel good. Yeah. And then we get to like, I don't even know what it was, maybe like 20. And then I'm like starting to fall off, but then like Betsy goes and lays in the grass. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, there's one more. Yeah. I think I was in like 4th or 5th at that time. I'm like, okay, you still can do it. You still can do it. And then the last water stop, like my last bottle, it's like 22, was when the wheels really started. It was like I had never felt that because in Toronto that didn't happen to me. In New York it happened so early on that it was like I knew it wasn't going to be my day. But there's just like this like gray area that like from like 22 to 24, just because you get past 20, you're not in the clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So then it really hit me at like 22 and a half was when it was like wheels were off. And like honestly finishing was like amazing. And that was incredible with how terrible I felt those last miles. But I also understand why so many women had to drop out of that race, because if I would have felt that way any earlier on, it probably would have been like dangerous to finish.
Yeah.
Like I collapsed before the finish line. Like I thought my mind must have thought that like I had made it to the finish line. It was insane.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I guess the goal, like the only goal was just like match every single move and like just go for it. And not that I don't respect people that hung back and then sweeped up our butts in the end, but like.
Sounds like you don't.
Yes, hot take. No, I mean, whatever. But like, if you're like chilling, you know what I mean? Like, were you really there to make the team?
Yeah.
I don't know. Right?
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. No.
Not the American. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you're going to go for it, you're going to go for it. If you're going to like pick up carnage, you're going to pick up carnage. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're 4th or 12th. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion.
No, that's the one. That is the one day where it's like literally it's for everyone is gutting for first, second. I guess there are some people that are like, I qualified and that was my goal. But like, if you're actually trying to compete, it's like, why would you not try to
be with that front group?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's really interesting. It is crazy to watch just how like great someone can look for 23 miles and then they're just gone. But do you, after you finish that race, what in your head were you like, I need to do this to be better prepared for the next time? Like, was it like, I need to be better at fueling, or was it training? Like, what did you think?
Oh my gosh, your dad, Mark, is already, it's fueling. I didn't fuel that entire marathon. I don't even know what I took. It was not very much.
That's like old school. Just like had a sip of water halfway and was ready to go.
I had not worked very well on fueling. I was a bit like hard-headed about it. And I think like, probably most like new marathon runners maybe can relate. I don't know. Maybe it was just me, but I'm like, I don't need that. I'm good. Like I can do 18-mile long runs with nothing. Why would I need to take something? So
it makes sense. Yeah.
So that's been like honestly the biggest thing, even since I've moved here and doing like 10-mile runs. Mark is like shoving gels down my throat. I'm like, Mark, I'm running 7-minute pace. I'm okay. It's like, but no, it's awesome because now's the time to like work on all that. And I am really fortunate to have a coach that's just like also eyes on every day. Yeah. And it wasn't any fault to Terrence, but because we were only together certain times of the year, we would do it when we were together. But then when we weren't together and it was just me by myself, I wasn't as good about it. Yeah. Yeah. If you're by yourself, it's weird. You have to like set up stations and then do like loops. Like it's a lot easier to have someone biking next to you to just hand you a bottle. 20 miles into a 25-mile run or something. That makes a lot of sense. What excites? So you haven't run a marathon this last year, correct? Yeah, that's just a very hard subject. I had so many. It's just been like so I was gonna run Valencia last December, and then I was gonna run London, then I was gonna run Berlin. So I've had to and again, I think it wasn't allowing me to do what was right to get this body back in one piece. So right now it's like, obviously I will run a marathon in 2026, 100%, but we just got to make sure things are right. Do you have one you're eyeing? Like, are you like, I want one that's flat and fast, or are you like, I want one that just is, I can be competitive on, that has hills, or I'm less about the time, or do you have one that you're excited about? So right now that like my body feels good and I'm moving well, I think that like any marathon, when I was like fearful, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do a hilly marathon because I'm going to be in pain. I can't. And that's such a bad way to be as an athlete. Like, I'm like, okay, if I'm thinking that, like, that's so terrible. So now I don't think that there's anything that I wouldn't want to do. I just want to get strong and fit. And then I think any course will obviously be right.
Nice. How do you balance, like, you know, you don't like you were just saying, you're not sure exactly which one you're going to do. How do you balance sort of like your day-to-day weeks without having an actual race on the calendar? Like, are you just like, I have so much I need to do PT wise or, you know, recovery wise that I'm just focused on that? Or are you like, I need a race to be excited, motivated, ready to go? How do you operate?
How do I operate? Normally it is having a race on the calendar, and there is one on the calendar, but I'm like not saying it because we're letting the race come to us. But see, this is also hard because this is my profession. This is my job. And like a lot of the times you do have to commit to these races 3 months in advance. So it's challenging to be like doing what's best for me and my body, but also I have requirements. I have things I have to do, which is like, I totally understand and respect. It's part of like how we get paid as athletes. But with that being said, this race that I have on the calendar, I'm only going to do if I'm confident in my fitness level. So yeah, I think the winter, it's going to be just like getting as fit as I can. And if I'm fit, I'll be able to race well. And if it takes 4 extra weeks and we thought, then that's okay too. I believe a spring marathon is 100% in the cards. And then I'm somebody that loves to race. So as long as my coaches are okay with it, throwing in some races while we're getting ready for that spring marathon, just to kind of rip the Band-Aid off. When you've been away from it for a while, it's a shock to the system.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's really hard to replicate especially at altitude. It's kind of impossible to replicate like a race here in training. Like you just got to go to sea level and run as hard as you can.
Yeah.
Nice. You are now coaching on the Hammer and Axe platform. Why did you decide to do that? And what like athletes would you like to work with?
Yeah, that was like a super fun part. Like when I decided to move out here and was talking with Reed and Drew, you guys were telling me about how there's some other fun opportunities I could do. And part of it was being onboarded as a coach. And I was a little like scared at first, like, oh, I don't know if I'll be good at that. And you guys were like, oh no, you will. Like, you know, like you guys were great mentors and talked me through it. But yeah, for me, I think it's just super rewarding to be able to work with athletes of all levels, especially I personally have a lot of friends that ran when they were younger and then they like fell out of love with the sport. And then, now being 30, most of my friends have trained for a marathon. So some of these people that are coming back into the sport, but just like need that guidance again, would love to work with them. But then also just people that are, you know, trying to overcome anything in life, whether that's addiction or depression or anything, just like new to the sport. I think running is so powerful, and can be like a great vice for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a guy that similar story to what you were just talking about. He literally was like a really good high school runner. And just stopped running one day after high school. He didn't run in college, and he just reached out and he's like, hey, like I haven't run in like 6 years, like a step. Like, can you help me get back into running? And it's been so rewarding. Like he just ran like 21 minutes for a 5K. And he was like in high school, he's good. He ran like 16 minutes. He's like, I'm more excited about this than I was like when I ran my PR, just because he's like, I literally never thought I would run again. So it can be really rewarding and really fun. What do you feel like is your coaching sort of like superpower? What do you feel like you could really help with athletes day to day?
Yeah, big thing. I'm working with this guy. He is actually living in Maine, but he is actually a great runner. He kind of got into it on his own later in life, but he had no idea about workouts. So he was hitting like super high mileage and was even doing like long runs and trying to like go, get down to marathon pace. He's trying to run like a Boston qualifier, but he had no idea like the structure of different workouts. So it's been really fun just giving him different things like 3-2-1 or like half mile on, half mile off, like pace change stuff, like all these workouts. And he's having so much fun with it.
Yeah.
Like we did 400 on, 400 off, like 20 by 400 on, 400 off. And he just thought it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like for us, like we've been doing it since we've been little. Yeah. So these are just like second nature to us, right? Like, what do you mean you don't know how to put together a workout? But it's like, that's what's so special about, and that's why at first I'm like, oh, I don't know if it'll be good, but it's like, well, Emily, you have all this knowledge, like why not use it? Right? Like, yeah.
No, totally. Yeah. Same thing. It's like, okay, like I can just run every day easy for a week. I'm like, that would is kind of boring.
Right.
Like, don't you want to run faster? And then they're like, oh, yeah, I guess that would be more fun. And it obviously helps them get in better shape and everything.
Yeah.
So.
And they love it. It's just like, it's like a fun little like test. Like I think, the workout this week will be like, it'll be like mile 800, right? So you do your mile and then it's like 2-minute rest, then a quicker 800 and then like a full rest. So 4 by that.
Nice.
And yeah, just fun stuff like that, that a lot of these people that are, even if they've run marathons, they've never done stuff like this.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
We're really excited that you're on the platform. We're going to end with just a quick hits fun section. I haven't done this yet with anyone, but yeah. So what is your favorite workout?
My favorite workout. I love them all. I'm just kidding. It's just mile repeats. I enjoy mile repeats. Honestly, like the long, I'm probably because I'm good at them, like the long, hard, like tempo type things. Yeah. So something like that.
What's the hardest workout you do?
For some reason, Ks have always been hard for me. It's just like this in between, like tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your dog Winston, right?
Yeah.
Is good training partner or bad training partner?
So I've been doubling a lot more since I've been here, which is great for me. So what I do is I'll like do my like most of my run and then I go and pick him up for like the last 5 minutes.
Nice.
And he like runs, but he's not great. But yeah, he loves to run. Like a 5-minute run was great for him.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you've lived in a few different running cities. I want to know what your favorite running city is.
Oh, that's a great question. It just depends. Like Boston in the fall is just beautiful. Like I love running on the Charles and all that and just being like immersed in the city. Flagstaff, I just like don't think you can beat Flagstaff like training. Yeah.
Boulder.
I know I'm getting to Boulder. I'm getting to Boulder. And I'm still really new to Boulder. And I am fortunate that I don't have a family or a lot of responsibilities. So I run a lot of different places.
That is fun.
Yes, It is fun. So I'm starting to get to see all the cool places in Boulder. Yeah. But they're all different.
Yeah. All right. What's your current favorite running shoe or just your favorite running shoe that you've had the last few years?
So right now I am running in the, why are you asking me this? Now I'm blanking on it.
It's okay.
Well, nobody runs in it. Oh, the Solution.
Nice.
Nice.
I haven't even heard of that shoe. So
your dad wears it.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if that's a ringing endorsement. Mark does not put in a lot of miles.
No, and again, it's personal preference. I'm just somebody that likes a more like firm shoe, and these like a big thing right now is the more like cushiony shoe.
Yeah.
Which is great for certain things, but like I've just like found that the Solution is a lot more like firm for my mileage. But yeah, super excited to get back in my super shoes here soon.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
What is a pro runner you looked up to growing up?
A pro runner so definitely Shalane, Kira, and Des had the picture of them like in my room from when they made the Olympic team and the marathon. Yeah, so those three are huge. And then so many others that I've like become peers with, which is like wild, like Emily Infield, and it's just awesome. Jordan Hasse, and it's crazy. And now they're just like now Jordan will like follow like my career, and I'm like, this is wild. Like very cool.
Yeah, it is weird when you like have people you look up to and then you're racing them or like on this, like a part of the same posse or whatever. It's an interesting thing that happens in our sport a lot. All right, last fun one. One thing you wish more recreational runners understood.
That you do not feel good on every run every day. And I think that kind of goes for life. Something that I also struggled with as a young little teenage girl. My dad had to tell me this. He's like, every day you wake up, it's not going to be rainbows and butterflies and you're going to have 100% day. He's like, life, it ebbs and flows. You're going to have days that you just like don't feel great. And I think that's awesome to relate it to running. Like you might go out and be like, wow, like today I just feel bum, but that's okay because even pro runners have those days. Yeah. Now those are the days that you just have to get it done and just get out the door. Yeah. And then once you do, you feel a lot better. Yeah, absolutely. All right. We're going to wrap up here. My last question. What do you want your next 5 years in the sport to look like? Oh, that is a great question. Yeah. So I feel like at this point in my career, I'm a lot more confident in myself as an individual. which is huge. So now it's just like building upon that, and obviously making that 2028 team is a huge goal of mine, but it's not going to define my career, right? A big thing for me is I want to help develop the sport and help bring up the next generation of runners. And going back to like who I looked up to, I want to be somebody that younger athletes look up to. And I think it's so important at these races to talk to these younger people and make them feel like included. So yeah, again, for me, running a PR, running in the 220s, low 220s, being one of the best American marathoners of my time, but also like just raising the bar for the next generation.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. Thanks, Emily. Thanks for coming on the HAX Show, episode 7. This is definitely Rachel's favorite one. We out. Thanks, everyone.